Okay, let's jump into the flip now. OpenAI valuation is the topic. Is it worth $300 billion, which is a derived value based on a SoftBank investment that it made? We've debated this, Daniel. So let's jump in. Is OpenAI worth $300 billion? All right, Dan, you've got to defend that $300 billion valuation.
All right, anyone that's seen my Twitter, my X, would know where I stand on this. This is absolutely the pinnacle of AI and LLMs. This company is so far ahead, has so much more technology, has so much more market share. It has redefined the business, and every company in the world is trying to keep up with them, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft. Microsoft is so scared, in fact, of what OpenAI is doing that they're running away trying to build their own competitive products because they just can't keep up. Sam Altman is an ultimate leader. He's a machine. He's driven the academics away from his business because he knows how to turn this thing into a company that's worth a fortune. That Koenigsegg that he drives down the street, that's not the only one he owns. He owns many because this guy knows what he is doing. You look at the revenue, you're talking $12 billion in revenue over the next couple of years. You're going to see this company turn for profitability. Of course, they're losing money. You can't make money this early on when you're making this much investment. You need this many GPUs because you're doing stuff that nobody else has done. The future requires risk. And if you're an investor, you want to be on board with the most valuable companies in the world. And look, every time this company goes to raise money, there are investors. And these are not fools. These are not clowns. These are smart people. These are PhDs. These are the most successful investors in the world. They're putting their money up and they're backing the company. When it was $10 billion value, Satya put up his money. In the last round, it was $160 billion. And there was people piling in to invest in this thing. You could not get after this thing. I don't care if their GPUs are melting. I don't care if they're nowhere near AGI. It's worth it because it's what people are willing to pay. And now you hear SoftBank has got $40 billion pulled aside with more people ready to fund this thing so they can buy more GPUs. They can build $7 trillion worth of custom chip industry development. They'll do what they want because OpenAI is the one. They are the only. Sorry, everybody else. You're just a follower at best.
Yeah, so I think the $300 billion valuation for OpenAI is laughable. Okay, so first off, like, when a ship's going down, right, the rats jump off and then the fleas jump off the rats. Microsoft basically is dumping OpenAI, pulling back on all their capacity. They totally do not believe that OpenAI will have a payoff, or B, that their technology isn't impenetrable. Okay. OpenAI used to look like, oh, they had a year advantage, and now it's like a couple months. I prefer deep research, and it's the best, but quite, it's $200 a month, and it didn't get lapped, but DeepSeek gave it an absolute run for its money at reportedly a lower test time inference cost. The company is not supposed to be profitable till 2029. Okay, like literally cash flow positive. Okay, so 4 more years of dumping cash into this thing, and whose forecasts are ever on? Maybe they won't be cash flow positive till 2031, maybe 2032. Who knows? Already talked about the competition, but you've got models are pretty much a commodity at this point. We saw it with DeepSeek, right? We're seeing it with Quen. We're seeing with Llama. Okay, I just think that it's kind of laughable. And even, by the way, just even looking at the multiples, right? Typical SaaS multiple versus revenue is 8x, and an typical AI startup is 15 15 to 20x. And what you're looking at here is OpenAI looking at a 24x multiples. So it's absolutely at the high end. And if you're at the high end, you've got to have a moat. and I don't think that OpenAI has a moat. So um, all this valuation, right, depends on them generating $100 billion of revenue by 2030, 70% gross margins. And by the way, how on earth are you going to hit 70% uh, gross margins? Because at some, like, capex doesn't just sit there, right? It becomes a cost that goes into your P&L. And okay, we can argue that's depreciation, right? It sits down there, but quite frankly, none of these numbers add up for me, Daniel. Any counter on that?
Well, you're gonna give me the chance to counter. You ever done that before?
We haven't.
We're gonna counter. All right. Well, the quick counter is basically this. It really doesn't matter whether you think it is or it isn't a bubble, as long as people with money continue to pile in, and as long as the chairs keep settling and that the music keeps playing, the value keeps going up. I can make the same arguments you made for every single thing for Nvidia, for Microsoft, for Amazon, that all their valuations are astronomically too high. But having said that, in the end, Pat, it will be what it will be. And in the end, I will struggle forever to try to support OpenAI and ever make this argument again.
Yeah, closing statement. I mean, you talked about shares. I mean, shares in the Titanic. So, let's go.
I
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Did
don't
you
know if
like
we'll
that?
keep this part if we won't, buddy. But I tell you what,
Yeah.
this is the fun part of the flip, is trying to somehow defend something that you find indefensible. So
No, I know. I think you and I both absolutely believe that this valuation is not is irrational. I look at Amazon's valuation; it was irrational too. I look at Tesla's valuation previously, and it was completely irrational before it really started generating meaningful revenue.